Vanoggend in die ateljee kuier Dr. Siphe Zantsi saam met my. Hy is 'n landbou-ekonoom by die Landbou-Navorsingsraad en ons praat 'n bietjie oor kraalmis wat moontlik die produktiwiteit van oorbeweide gronde kan verbeter. Dr. Welcome to GROOTplaas.
Thank you, Mia.
It's so nice having you here with me.
Yeah, likewise.
It's awesome starting the day with a friendly smile.
Yeah.
Dr. Zantsi, tell me a little bit more about your unit at the Agricultural Research Council. What do you guys do and focus on?
Thank you, Mia. I think most people will know that Agricultural Research Council is a big organization that is formed out of the Research Act of 1990. So we are the official organization that does agricultural research in South Africa.
Yes.
You can say we are the bedrock of the agricultural sector because most of our units, I think we have about 9 or more than 9 institutes that focuses on crop, livestock, viticulture, and all the vaccines, yes, animal vaccines, and so forth. So, but I will tell you just one short story about how the ARC is relevant to the sector. So I think in past decades, there was a situation where farmers that plant passion fruit, their fields were wiped out by a disease. So, but because ARC keeps some of the genetic material, they were able now to give the farmers back what they have lost, which is really incredible. So now to our unit. So our unit quantifies the gains from doing research, agricultural research. So these guys that are doing your crops sciences, your animal sciences, there's cost involved in doing that research. So we quantify how much we get back from that research.
Yes.
And I think in the few years we've published some research on plum research, how much investment we get back per rand that is invested. And I'm happy to tell you that it was positive and we were getting around 30 to 40 cents. I can't remember the exact names, but it's positive. That's what we do. And all of the other economic aspects of agriculture, that's what we do.
I can imagine it is a time-consuming but a busy job as well, because there's always research that needs to be done in the agricultural sector, right?
Yes, yes.
It never stops.
That's correct. And yeah, because we are a small unit and we're supporting the whole guys, so we have a lot of work. We're also involved in rural development. That's how I came to learn about what we would talk about now. And also coming from a rural area, I know a lot of these issues because I've been there, I've been farming there since I was a high school kid. And even when I was at the University of Fort Hare, when I come back, I will do some cropping practices. Yeah.
Can you tell me, what are the typical livestock farming practices in rural or former homeland areas?
Okay, so I think the key aspects worth highlighting there is that firstly, you have shared grazing land, you know. But I think the starting point would be that these former homelands, they occupy about 14 to 17% of our country's land.
Yes.
South Africa, the surface area of the country at whole is about 122 million hectares. So 13% of that is these former homelands. But of course, that includes towns and so forth. But from that, a big share is these rangelands, you know, because most of our land in South Africa is not cultivatable, so you can only graze livestock. So farmers in former homelands, they share these rangelands. And there are small pieces now because from these same rangelands, when the population grows, and it has grown significantly, so now there are residential plots that are taken or cut from these rangelands. So now they are even much smaller than they were. You know, around 1950s, there was a commission led by Professor Tomlinson at the University of Pretoria that found that the land in the former homelands is too small for someone to make a living. You know, imagine if that was in 1950s. How is the situation now? Of course, it's just overpopulated. The agricultural land, especially grazing land, is a tiny piece. You know, but it differs with locations. So they share grazing land as a community, but now the grazing lands are not fenced, so it means the rangelands cannot be rested so that they grow, the grass grows taller and gives flowers, and so that there will be seeds that are invested in the soil. So that's the situation now today in the former homelands.
What is the state of rangelands in communal areas at the moment?
Yeah, it's not looking good at all. It's not looking good.
Why?
So around, there have been a lot of, starting from that report that was written by Prof. Tomlinson. I think in the subsequent decades, there were also investigation or research done there. I remember one which was a national study done by Professor Tim Hoffman. So they found that most of the communal rangelands in South Africa are degraded and they are not in good state. So it means that there are no palatable grass species that are there. There are gullies, there are ndongas, you know, so they are not so productive. That's the state of our communal rangelands.
How does that impact or affect livestock production? I can imagine the impact is quite big.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, because, you know, if you are a livestock farmer, you're not really farming with cattle or sheep. You're farming with what they eat, because that's your biggest component of the production, you know. So if the rangelands are not good, it means the implication is that now you would have to do or add additional feeding, especially in drier periods like in winter. And there was a study that was done by Susanna Fett at the University of Cape Town. Her PhD was in the former Transkei Herschel district. So she found that farmers were able there to keep more livestock by having supplementary feeding in winter, which means additional costs. You know, so that's the problem. And also, if there are shortages of feed, animals cannot now breed properly. You know, they miss their periods, but no, it's not periods. They miss their heat, you know. So that's the challenge. So you get low productivity even on animals now if your veld or your rangelands are in poor state.
Now, tell me about your proposition that you made on the article published in Stock Farm. I mean, what are some of the solutions?
Yeah, okay, let's talk about that a bit. Okay, so we went there for another project which is on Preservation of Agricultural Land Act, which is was just signed off by President Ramaphosa last year. So we are in the process of developing norms and standards as the ARC, working together with the National Department of Agriculture. So these standards will guide land subdivision and also the change of land use. So we wanted to gather some views from the communal farmers and traditional leaders. So we came across a lot of crawl manure that is disposed outside the houses, you know. Of course, many of the rural communities, the farmers there, they are crawling their animals at night or penning them. So you have tons of this crawl manure. Now it becomes problematic if you crawl your animals every day. Because when it rains, you know, they will just, it's not a good situation. So you would want to dispose it off. And many households do that, because what is more viable there, we visited, among our visit was in Mutlatla, a village outside Free State. I think it's in the former Buputatswana homeland. So when I saw that and looked at the pictures of and looked at the grass outside where this kraal manure is disposed, I would see that the grass is healthier
it's
and
green
greener,
and fresh. Yeah.
So I was wondering, why would we not do this at a scale,
Makes
because
sense.
of course now we already dispose it, but why don't we go do it properly on the rangelands?
Yeah.
So I think that would be a really good initiative, because I think even most of the research that we read about now has been done on crops, but we never looked at how this readily available kraal manure can help to improve the state of our rangeland. Of course, there's a lot needed there. It's not only that, but I think it would be a good start, because now we would put back the nutrients that have been lost in the soil, and we will get more grasses. But that could be coupled with also broadcasting some seeds of these palatable species. I think that would really help our rangelands. And I think that would take a community to do, community that has close ties, people are working together. That would really that would be the trick there, because I propose that if people who have bakkies in the community and the young men that are there are not working can help to load and offload that. But we should start with the flat surfaced grazing lands, because if the steep is like this, then it would be washed off, and be a waste. So that's the least maybe we can do while we are waiting for the government to give more land or or rectify the situation.
And like you say, it takes a community. Everybody must play their role.
Yeah.
Doctor, thank you so much for coming in this morning. I really appreciate it. Have a good day.
Thank you, Mia.